to take his tag off. So he comes just like this. The frame is already made. There's already fabric and stuff on the background. Now you can find shapes like this at places like, I don't know if DecoExchange may have some. I know Craft Outlet does. A lot of the larger retailers that are online carry these shapes. So they're super fun. And this one has the hangers right in the middle, comes between the antenna, so you can kind of see. He's nice and thin. All I like to do with these is I simply add a bow. I add usually one bush, maybe two, of 60919. And then I add in some greenery and florals. So we're going to add in just a little bit of these small florals. I don't want anything super huge. I'm going to use a little larger florals on the lemon. So I've got these. But then I have an assortment of ribbons here. These are just some scrap ribbons that I have left over from another project, but they're long enough that I think I can use in the bow. So this is a great project to do if you've got just a little bit of this ribbon, a little bit of that. Grab them all, see what goes together. Don't be afraid to mix patterns. I'm going to combine them with these. So these are the ones we're going to be working with. So what I'm going to do first is I want to make my bow, okay? And it's just going to be a typical, what they call is, you know, the terry bow style. Okay, so it's not going to be a long bow. It's just going to be basically 2 loops and 2 tails that go opposite directions, and they're about the same size, so it's a very rounded type bow. Okay, so you can see me here. I've got all my patterns. I'm going to use, though, usually you can make one out of 2 2.5 ribbons and 1 1.5 inch. You can add on more if you want a bigger bow. I'm going to use 3 of the 2.5 inch patterns and 2 of the 1.5 inch. Because I'm feeling particularly risky today. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start with this one. I love this ribbon. I love this. I think this is the first time I'm actually using it. Again, one that I got from a previous warehouse sale. But any of the ribbons I see, check DecoExchange and Craft Outlet. Those are the 2 that you're most likely to find this at. All right, so I don't want this to be a huge bow, so I think I'm going to have the tail at 6.5 inches. Okay, so I've measured 6.5 inches. I dovetailed the end, so I just bent it together and I cut it. But I want to make sure that this is going to be too big, so I like to just pinch it and kind of bring it around and look at my project. Now, I don't want to, if I put the bow up here, it's going to cover all this stuff. So I'm more inclined to really put the greenery in the bow down at the bee's butt. All right, we're going to be doing a bee butt. And I think 6.5 inch for a tail is great. I'm going to put it back in. I like to go about a 1/2 inch smaller on my loop. So when I put it in here, I'm now going to pinch, but I'm going to twist it so that I'm seeing the back side over here, right? You want to do that, and then I'm going to pull this over. So we want a 6 inch loop, okay? So I'm going to bring that one over. Actually, you know what? We might even go a little bit. Well, yeah, I'll start 6 inch because I've got 3 2.5 inch ribbons. Okay, so we're going to do kind of a bigger one on this. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pinch and twist. And now I'm looking at the back side of the ribbon over here on the right. Okay, so I've pinched and twisted. I have 1 tail, 1 loop. I'm going to go make my other loop now by bringing this through at 6 inches. And if you can make a bow by hand, you are fantastic. I bow down in your presence. That is great. A lot of us can't. But using a bow maker allows me to have a little bit more control, which I like. So it turns out that this tail is actually at 7 inches. I lied. It's 7 inches. And the loop is at 6. All right. So there we go. So now it's kind of stacked like this, right? It's kind of stacked like that. So I like to pull the loop up on the right and the tail down on the right. And then the tail up on the left and the loop down on the left. So we're making, think of, it's just an X shape. It's all about opposites, right? So now that's what we have. And that's going to go on his butt. So that's kind of the scale, so you know kind of what we're looking at here. Okay? So we've got that. Now, I'm going to take this one. I always like to put a pin in it. I never used to pin my ribbons, and then things would unfurl, and then they wrinkle. It takes just an extra couple of seconds, but it really does make a difference in keeping your ribbon nice. Okay. Now the next one. These are a bit thinner ribbons. So this one had a tinsel edge, a little bit thicker. This is a bit thinner of a ribbon. But I think I'm actually going to put that one on. I'm going to do this one next because this is the more detailed, larger pattern. And this is kind of more like a background kind of pattern. So I'm going to do this one next. So this one was left over from a wreath kit that I had put together. available at sweetariadecor.com. So I've got those kits that are out there. But this came from that kit. And this was left over on the spool, so I'm going to... Actually, you know what? No, this was leftover. This was how much is left over from when I made the wreath kit and I recorded it. You guys still have that much ribbon in there. So every time I make a kit, I like to almost overgive on the ribbon just to make sure you've got enough to make another bow if you want to, or add some accents, or if you want to make a separate bow and put it on a lantern, on the door, something to kind of accent to go with the wreath, right? Okay, so this time I'm putting the dovetailed edge in on the left side, and I'm going to move toward the right, okay? So if that last tail was at 7, this one's going to be at like 6.5, because this loop is going to be at 5.5. So I'm pinching and twisting, okay? And I'm coming over on the right-hand side. Now this ribbon's a little bit wrinkled, so I just got to run my fingers along the edges. You can also use a handheld steamer to kind of unwrinkle some of your ribbon if you need it. Okay, I'm going to put this in. This is going to be a 5.5-inch loop. All right. Got it in here, 5.5-inch, pinch and twist, bring it over, 5.5-inch. There we go, and then cut this. I'm gonna cut it a little. I'm gonna cut it at 7. Ooh, I have just enough. And then when I dovetail it, it's gonna take it down that extra 1/2 inch. Okay. Okay, there we go. So now this time the tail on in the right is gonna go up. And the loop is going to come down because we're doing the opposite of what we did on the layer before. Then loop up, tail down. All right. This is where we're at. It's still pretty thin too. When I made these before, people, when I had like mesh behind it, made it a little bit thicker, people had actually requested that I make them a little bit thinner because they want to put it on their storm door. So this should fit. This should definitely fit on a storm door. Okay. Now we are going to go to our cool bee pattern. There we go. Big bees, big bees. All right. Now, this is directional ribbon. So on one of the loops, we're going to have to twist it so the bee doesn't look upside down. So here I'm dovetailing. So what I've done, I take the 2 edges, wired edges, put them together, and I cut angled from the inside toward the outside to make a V shape. It keeps it from fraying and gives you a nice finished edge, which we like. Okay. Now, because my tail started on that side last time, I'm going back over and starting on my right. All right. This is going to hit, that tail is going to hit at 6 inches, and the loop will be 5 inches. So put that in here. And then I pinch and twist on the left side. Okay. I'm going to bring this over. Give ourselves a 5-inch loop, and I'm not squishing that loop. I'm following the natural curve. All right, that looks good there, 5 inches. We want to come in a little bit, about 1/2 inch every time we make another set of loops with a different ribbon because we don't want to cover the ribbon that's behind it. Each loop needs its chance to shine, to get its attention. All right, there we go. I'm going to cut a little past 6. And then dovetail. All right. Oops, there we go. All right, so I'm going loop down, tail up on the left, loop up, tail down on the right. As I'm looking at it, this guy is upside down, right? Everything else looks good. All the bees are flying up except this guy's going down. And there's wording on there that says be sweet. So I'm just going to take this loop, I'm going to pinch it, and I'm just going to twist the entire loop. Twist it around. So now he's facing the right way. And nobody is dizzy. It doesn't bother some people, but it bothers me when stuff like that is upside down. I can't deal with it. I can't. All right. So, Loretta, hello, Loretta. How's it going? How's it going? Did you have a good Easter? I hope you did. I can't believe Easter's already over. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now we're full on into, I got to get started on patriotic, and then I'm jumping into Halloween. I know, it seems crazy. It's that time. All right. We're going to do 2 of the 1.5-inch ribbons now, I think. But no, you know what? I think on this one, I'm just going to do 1. Well, no, I'm going to do 2. Okay. So, I've got a solid and I've got a pattern. I've already got pattern. I want to put solid here to kind of break it up. So this one, this had a splice in the middle, but I think it'll be okay because I think if I start from this end, we will finish what I need before we ever come to the splice. So I'm going to dovetail. Okay, and this is scalloped edge ribbon. We call it fancy panty ribbon because it reminds us of our underwear from the 70s. All right, I'm going to do 5.5-inch tail, the pinch and twist, and now we're going to go in with a 4.5-inch loop. Okay, pinch and twist. Putting that in here. 4.5-inch loop. There we go. And cutting that out there. A little after 5. All right. And you got to be careful when you're cutting the scalloped edge ribbon of where you're making that little cut. Because if you cut it too far down in the scallop, depending on where it is, it'll kind of go off and make a weird shape. Then you just trim it. All right. Tail up, loop down on the right, loop up, tail down on the left. I'm glad we're going to end up with some white on the top because it's very yellow heavy right now. We want to brighten it up a little bit. Okay. So I can still use this to make another loop, little bow. I save everything. I'm a hoarder. Oh my God, you should see my house with the craft stuff. Ugh. Yeah. But I sell it. I sell the supplies too at sweetariadecor.com. All right. There we go. Now this is a bee pattern. It's got little honeycombs. Oh my gosh. Did you guys remember from like the 70s and 80s? Honeycombs big. Yeah. It's not small. No. There's a honeycomb cereal slogan. Okay, so this last one, I think that was at 5.5. We're going to do like a 5-inch tail here. Pinch and twist, and we're going to come in and do 4-inch on this. You could always come in and just do a single loop if you wanted to, but I want to do 2. Because again, when I end with a single loop bow, in the middle, when it's like a tall loop, sorry, my mouth. Then it kind of makes it taller. This I kind of want it to be. It needs to be a flatter, skinnier bow. Flat and skinny. How I wish I was, but I'm not. There we go. All right. Now we're gonna go. This one is tail up, loop down on the left. Tail down, loop up on the right. All right, and these tails are actually going to be almost up and down, to be honest, depending on the placement, because they're trying to get everything where you can see all the loops and nothing is hidden, right? But we're going to really do our final arrangement of that in just a minute. I'm just going to loop this up and put my pin in it. And then, so I don't use pipe cleaners for this one. You can if you want to, if that's what you got. I prefer to use zip ties on these for me. Just because to me it's easier to get on there and loop on there. So I'm going to pick this up. Okay, here we go. Now I like to put a zip tie behind here, okay, right behind here, and then I wrap it with another zip tie. I did get a really bad batch of zip ties off of Amazon where half of them, every time I would bend it, it would break. So I had to go through the entire bag and like one by one bend them. But that's the only time that's happened. I think it was just, I don't know, a bad batch or something. But usually I get them on Amazon and there's no problem. Okay, so now I'm going to hold it like this. Let's fluff our bow, okay? We'll start with pulling our tails down from the back. Focusing on every loop having its little moment in the sun, okay? Making sure we're doing opposites here. Loop here, tail there, tail, loop. Okay, I think we are good. There's our finished bow, okay? Now we're gonna move this out of the way It'll come back when we do our lemon. Don't worry, it's not going far. There you are, my pretty. All right, so the bow is going to kind of go on last. I'm going to look at putting on the florals now. And again, I'm going to be doing this with a series of, let's see if I can get some small zip ties. A couple small zip ties, a couple bigger ones. I'm going to sit down for this because I'm in pain. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Alrighty. I'm going to start by using my base greenery. So the one I love to use, I get it from DecoExchange. There are other places that carry it, but they're my main peeps. And this is a mixed greenery bush. So there are 3 stems to this, and we love it because there's so much on here. And especially once you spread it all out, because it comes and it's all condensed, right? So you don't want to put it on that way. You've got to air it out, right? Imagine like when you get home and you're taking off your bra and you just want to air everything out, right? Let it loose. Let it breathe. All right, so everything's going to separate. It's like taking off my Spanx, putting on some yoga pants, getting nice and comfy. Now this thing up at the top, I just curl it with my finger. And it makes a pretty curl. There we go, okay? So it's got 3 pieces. 1, 2, and 3. You like to snip those off. So I'm going to work with these 2 first. So we're going to go out, we're going to go side, side, and then I like to do one that kind of comes down because the ones on the side can kind of be moved up, so it kind of makes it a little bit more rounded. So I'm going to put the side ones on first. So what I need is a pair of snips just because I don't have to keep the stems super long, but I want to clean it up. There's a lot of extra paper on here. We want it to look neat and professional. So we're going to take off this extra paper. I'm going to go just snip the real tiny ends off that don't really serve a purpose. Here we go. You just don't want to snip too much because you don't want it to unravel on you. That would be a mistake. Here we go, Victoria. Hello. Thank you for making it. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us. All right, here we go. So I'm going to put these 2 together. Now, I don't want to put them together too close, right? Because then the bow is going to cover this. So I'm trying to kind of keep them a little bit wider because you can see once we get our bow on here, you know, it does take up quite a bit of room. So I'm okay with even going a little bit further out to kind of make this a little bigger. So what I'm going to try to do is, here we go. I'm just going to take that zip tie. It goes right underneath the grapevine. Most of the time there's holes in the fabric, like where it's glued on, where you can just put it right on through. Sometimes you kind of have to poke the hole and make it go in. But sometimes not. And today was a not. Didn't need to do it. All right. Now this one's going to go over here. Perfect. That worked out great. Pushing it in here. Now these are the smaller, I think these are 4-inch zip ties. It's a little trickier to use. I do have the longer ones. I'm trying to use these up because I don't honestly use them all that often anymore. 1, 2. Now I'm giving it a good tug, but I don't want to tug too hard. So I think I'm going to add another one right in here, kind of more toward the middle. Let's see if I can actually get something to poke through. Or sometimes you can poke it through the other way if you see the gap. There we go. Nice, poke it through that way. You can also hit it with a little hot glue. Once I've got all the florals in there, and I'm good with that, I'm going to hit it with a little hot glue. You just got to make sure that you don't put hot glue where the zip tie for the bow is going to go through, because then you've basically like blocked the entrance. All right. So make sure this comes up, around. This is looking pretty. All right, now we've got to do our bottom. Sometimes it's a little hard for me to figure out, wait, which is the top and which is the bottom on this greenery, but there we go. Well, that's a little long, isn't it? It's a little long. All right, so we are going to, what I like to do is just kind of like, I like bend it and make like a little bit of a hook. So it's kind of like sideways, right? This hook is going out to the side so that when I put it in here, It's not going to stick up. It's not going to catch anything. But this does go down a little bit further. Okay, so kind of like helping elongate the bee a little bit. All right, so we're going to, for this one, I'm going to use my longer zip ties. So let's kind of start putting that through here. I put at least 2, kind of almost like in an X shape to make sure that it's extra secure. Extra. I see a hole. I see a hole. Trying to get it in there. There we go. Okay. Wrap it around there. So this will be number 1. Okay. Bending it. Ah, it's a good tug. All right. But I want to put one going the other way so that it doesn't tend to move one way. So now I'm going to go the other way. I'm making crisscross, doing the X shape. So I'm going on the other side now. Let's try to see if I can come out anywhere under here. Ugh, I'm blind. I can't see a thing. This is a little difficult. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Go on. Go on. Of course, this happens when I'm on the live. Usually it's fine and no problem. Oh, then I'm just going to have to kind of use my scissors a wee bit and kind of make a little hole. There we go. I made a little hole. Here we go. Now I'm going the opposite way. And I will hold this up and show you. Let me get closer. There we go. Perfect. Just making that X shape. Okay. I'm going to bring this around. So we kind of want it to, here we go. You can see that's kind of how we did it with the zip ties down there. Make sure like kind of do a series of X's. That'll hold it in spots really good. This isn't really moving, so I don't really think that I'm going to put any hot glue in here, okay? I think I'm just going to put the bow right on. And this bow already has a zip tie on the back. I just want to make sure that I'm putting it the right way. So I'm going to put it sliding top down. I'm going to go through, trying to come back where I had an existing hole. All right. Now I'm coming around. I'm putting the zip tie in. All right. Making sure, I'm confirming again before I click it that it's facing the right direction. Because once I zip tie it in there, I can't really twist it around. I can if it's on a pipe cleaner, but I can't if it's on a zip tie. All right, I pulled this thing super, super tight. I'm going to stand up and let's fluff our bow. There's our beautiful baby bow at. All right. Because I want to make sure, and I like putting it lower because I don't want to hide any of that Swiss dot pattern. I don't want to hide the wings, right? I usually sell these locally, but I'm actually getting out of one of the spaces that I'm in, so I'm going to be listing a lot of the shaped grapevines that I've got made. They're going to be coming to sweetariadecor.com. I'm also probably going to list some of the empty ones, like just the plain ones for you to decorate. I'll list those in my supplies section. I also have a website, makeawreathkit.com. I don't know if anybody saw my stupid little rap song I did over the weekend. I made a rap video, yo, get crafty. Yeah, I'll put that on there. Oh my gosh, I'm going to embarrass future generations of my family. That's all right. That's my job. All right. I think we're good. I don't want the tails really going straight up too much. Maybe this bee pattern can go up a little much, but I don't want to block that. All right. So here is our finished bee. I hope he will be a big hit and a big seller at sweetariadecor.com. All right, here we go. There's the bee. There's the side. Pretty thin, I would say. That's it. 25. This is about 5 inches really fluffy, but then could flatten it down, and this becomes flat enough to put between a storm door. Okay, so it works for everybody, regardless of what door type you have. You can make this work. All right, I love our bee. We've been busy today. Okay.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. You can follow me on social media and shop my items at sweetariadecor.com.